Alright, hi. My name is Francisco Contreras, and this is for Drama-30. And for this assignment, I chose to interview my mother because she came into this country illegally. My mother's name is Rosa Maria Sendejas. She was born in Purépero, Michoacán, Mexico, on August 8th, 1965. She got her name because my grandpa saw a film in the theater and the actress's name was Rosa, and he really liked that name, so that's what he chose. One of her childhood memories that she remembers a lot was when she was a kid, her and her friends used to grab fireflies, the ones that like glow in the dark at night. She would grab them and then just smear them all over their clothes, just like squish them and smear them, and they would be glowing at night, like their whole clothes would just be glowing at night from the fireflies. When she grew up, she wasn't really poor, but she was like in the middle class. And all the kids that had money, they used to wrap all their lunch in foil paper. And since my mother didn't really have money, all her like sandwiches and stuff would be wrapped in just regular um, napkins. So at lunch, she would save up all the foil paper that the kids would throw away. She would go home and sort it out with her textbook. She then would grab the sandwiches that her mother made for her for lunch and take the napkin out and then wrap up the sandwich with the foil paper she saved. And that was it. That's what she would do for her lunches. Um, Growing up, she had a lot of responsibilities. At first, her mother got sick, really sick. She was bedridden, so she couldn't get up and do anything for the family. So my mother, being the oldest, she had to drop out at, I think it was 6th grade. At 6th grade, she had to clean the house, she had to make the meals for the kids and her father. She had to wash everyone's clothes, get them ready for school, get their lunch ready, and make the meals for when they come back. And she had all that responsibility, and she was only 12 years old. When she got older, my mother met my dad in Mexico, and they fell in love. My father was born in Mexico, but he was raised in Long Beach, California. He was brought from Mexico as a baby, and he was raised over there. So he was a citizen, and my mother wasn't. So when they got married, he couldn't take her back, so he had to pay a coyote $125 to bring her across. She had to cross the river between the border of San Isidro, California and Tijuana. While crossing, she had the address and phone number of her uncle that lived in Tijuana on a small piece of paper, just in case something happened and she got thrown back. Before crossing the river, she was afraid that she was going to lose the number and address. So she found a piece of broken glass and she carved the numbers and the address on her stomach until she was like bleeding so she wouldn't lose it. That's how scared she was. And after that, they crossed like 2 freeways and they ended up at a gas station where another one came back and picked her up. She said it was one of the most scariest things she's ever done in her life. And they had to meet my father at a hotel where they were all meeting. So she was hungry, she was dirty, one of her shoes was missing. And my father, I don't know what he was thinking. He came with his dad, and I don't know why. They thought they wanted to go buy a ladder. So they went to Kmart to go buy a ladder. And when they came back, my mother was outside waiting, and him and his dad were just there licking a bubblegum ice cream cone. And my mom said that like she was so mad at him for that. But it's funny though when you kind of think about it. Alright, and after that they lived in Long Beach, California with my dad's family for 3 years. And she was about 6 or 7 months pregnant with me. And they had my older sister there. Yeah, they had her there. And her sister that lived in Brentwood, her brother and sister that lived in Brentwood at that time, they told her that there was work out here. So they decided to move from Long Beach to Brentwood, California. and that's the only family they had up here was her sister Norma, and her brother Jose. Um, my mother really had to adapt quickly when she came to the United States. She really didn't speak any Spanish, so she had to learn quick. She started working for in the asparagus, in the peaches, in the corn, and just anything that was in season at that time. She was on welfare and food stamps, but she had to make a couple trips to Oakland and wait in line. And we all know Oakland wasn't really that nice in the 90s. I also asked her some questions about what's different from living in the United States and how she lived in Mexico. She said the biggest thing she misses is the food. She says it's much more fresh in Mexico than in the United States, and that she misses walking in the plaza, which is like the downtown of the town. Oh, yeah, with her friends and her family, buying small snacks to eat from the vendors. She also said that the people here are less friendly and that they don't really care about anyone else but themselves. In Mexico, they are much more friendlier and they greet you all the time. If you don't have money to pay for something, they would just tell you to pay them later, which something like that would probably never happen here. Also in her town, everybody knows each other. They grew up together and most of them are related to each other. My mother also said that living in Mexico it is less stressful than living in the United States. You have way more bills and taxes to be worrying about here than you do in Mexico. Um, in Mexico, only the rich pay taxes, like the companies, lawyers, or doctors. The poor people really don't pay any taxes. So, in Mexico, if you're trying to buy a house, you can either build one or you can buy one that's already built. But most of the people just buy the land first and then they build a house. In a regular house in Mexico, it probably costs you around $20,000, and that's it. You don't pay no mortgage or anything. And after you build a house and you live there, all you got to pay is for electricity, which is only $20 a month. Water, which is only $10 a month. But I guess a lot of people there, they really don't pay for water, so it's practically free. They don't pay any mortgage because their house is already paid for. So the most expensive thing they pay in Mexico is probably the gas, which a gas truck comes with a bunch of gas cylinders, the propane ones, and those you probably buy about 2 or 3 a month, and that would be around $50 a month. $50 a month. Yeah, and so it seems that living in Mexico would be way cheaper than living in the United States. But Mexico is actually, according to the World Bank in 2002, half of Mexico was living in poverty. Most of the population is living in extreme poverty, and that's why they come over here to work and to help their family. There are over 5 million Mexican immigrants in our current workforce, and I doubt the number will be decreasing. It will more likely be increasing. And yeah, and that'll be all for my presentation, and thank you for watching.